Lucky number 75, episode 75 of 55 and 5, the only show on YouTube that goes one card at a time to the 121 card set of the 1955 Parkhurst Wrestling trading card set. Ian Riccaboni, Cary Silkin, our producer AJ from Bisson Creative Web Design. Cary, we had a tag team yesterday. We got a tag team again today.
Well, you told me I'm going to be able to dispense some kind of information, so I look forward to that. I hope you're not swerving me.
No, not a swerve. This one's one I've been looking forward to. It's one of my favorite cards in the set. It involves potatoes. It involves eggs, milk, and bananas. And don't let that throw you off. I'm going to show the fans and the folks watching at home who this card is of. Great tag team. Cary, we're going to keep this in 5 minutes or less. Can you please tell me about the Sharpe brothers?
Well, I can tell you a little bit about them, but what a bizarre picture.
Right.
That's so cool.
Celebratory milk.
You'd figure they'd have cigars and beers.
Right.
But we're looking at milk, bananas. The Sharpe brothers were, at least, I'm sure not their whole career, but they were a very popular West Coast tag team.
Yep.
And Ian might be correcting me in a moment, is I think their claim to fame was they were one of the very first, if not the first, but one of the first American wrestlers to go to Japan, following World War II in maybe 53 or 4.
Yeah, 52, 3, 4, yeah.
Right. So you got to think about that. You had the World War II, and then Japan's getting back on their feet, and obviously they would go there as bad guys,
right, as the villains. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder what it was like.
Must have been crazy.
We always, I've been to Japan, and the people are very polite, and we've seen all these films of wrestling as crowds are the reactions are no resemblance to what we see in America.
Yeah.
But back then, maybe the Japanese were still a little bit upset.
Yeah, and they were by far the biggest foreign stars.
So it was Mike Sharpe?
It's Mike Sharpe and Ben Sharpe. Ben is the older of the two, and Mike Sharpe is the younger of the two. Mike, of course, is the father of a wrestler, or some of our fans may know Iron Mike Sharpe.
Right.
It was Mike Sharpe Jr. And Ben Sharpe, he was on the Canadian rowing team, and he was an Olympian. And he was the flag bearer for the Olympics in 1936. And unfortunately, one of his biggest regrets in life was they made him shake the hand of Adolf Hitler. So because he was the flag bearer. So there's some comments about that he's made, and it was very regrettable. But and in one of the interesting things is his letters and correspondence from the time. He's writing back home saying, "This is horrible. There's going to be a war. This is horrible." There's going to, essentially telling his family he wants to go home.
Was that the Olympics with Jesse Owens?
It is, yeah. And so Ben Sharpe was a great Canadian athlete. He meets Lord James Blears. He's serving in World War II. They both were in the Royal Air Force for Canada. Well, Canada and Britain. Britain was still, the crown still ruled over Canada at that time. And they meet Lord James Blears during the war in England, and they inspires both to wrestle. So they break into wrestling together. For about 18 years, they headline in San Francisco.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And to talk about, we talked through these cards about, this guy went here and then went there. And then they were continuing to draw people and fans in for 18 years, which is wild. They were 18-time champions as well. And it's really hard to overstate just how big they were in Northern California and in Japan. Their biggest match is probably in February 54. They faced Masahiko Kimura and Ricky Dozan. And it was one of the early televised bouts, and just does a massive number. It doesn't do the big number that Ricky Dozan would do later.
You would think that these guys must have wrestled in L.A. also.
They did.
Because they would have been on TV and thus getting the publicity. Right. Because you would figure the Japanese promoters would be familiar with the Dumont Network or whatever it was called, the LA TV.
Yeah.
Not that San Francisco didn't have TV,
right. They dabbled.
Right.
They were brought in as special attractions, but they would stay in San Francisco. They'd leave for a couple of weeks and come back and just headline top of the card. And interesting to note, Mike had a child and named them Ricky, R-I-K-I, like Ricky Dozen.
Okay.
And they were brought to Japan well after their retirement, frequently honored on television in Japan. And so they were just incredibly well respected and seen as great sportsmen every time they were brought back.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's a fun one. Maybe that's why they're celebrating with some healthy snacks in this photo.
Yeah.
Is that a potato? Is that a raw potato?
Hard to tell.
Is there a potato or an egg or something?
Well, very cool. Thank you for sharing this. The Sharpe brothers, what a career.
Yeah. Real trailblazers and not really admired in the way they should be.
That's why we do these.
Absolutely. Hope to bring more information about guys like the Sharpe brothers to you. So, hey fans, next week we're taking a little bit of a hiatus again. Our producer AJ taking a well-deserved trip. We're all vaccinated up. He's going to be doing some work, doing some traveling, staying safe. And Cary and I are just going to be high on the hog. We're going to be sitting back, watching some wrestling, catching up on. Maybe I'll watch One Night in Miami for the 30th time.
Yes.
I'll see that. But we hope you use that time to go back through the back catalog and catch up on 55 and 5. For Cary, for AJ, I'm Ian. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy wrestling, everybody.